Alright guys, so today we're here to finally check out the brand new Sony WF-1000XM5 true wireless earbuds. Now this is the follow-up to the very popular and very highly rated XM4. So obviously there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in these. I am definitely one of those that falls into that category because the XM4s has been one of those that I've recommended to pretty much anybody looking for one of the best of the best. So the XM5s come in at $299, so they've decided to go up in price, and I've noticed that this is kind of a pattern. Bose did the same thing with the Quiet Comfort Earbuds 2, and where we're at is we've seen inexpensive brands get much better with noise canceling, and we've seen inexpensive brands definitely come to deliver when it comes to audio quality. So now Sony has a lot more to compete with, and at the moment I would put the Bose Quiet Comfort Earbuds 2 as the best of the best when it comes to noise canceling. So now Sony has those to compete against, and they have a world of earbuds to compete against when it comes to audio. So we're going to talk about all of those different things. We're going to talk about what all comes inside the box, the features, and see if these can be worth that $299 price tag. So to start with, some of the features, some of the new things about these is they are now using a brand new integrated V2 processor. This is one that Sony makes specifically for their earbuds. They have shrank the case and the earbuds themselves so they're not as large as they were with the XM4s, which I know a lot of people had issue with the size of the earbuds on the XM4s. Now they also have Multipoint right out of the gate, where the XM4s didn't have it until much later with an update. These do have LDAC playback, which is again one of the best Bluetooth codecs that you're going to get, and they're also IPX4 rated, so this is again kind of the norm when it comes to noise canceling earbuds, which means it'll be fine against rain and sweat and splashes, but this isn't one of those that you would want to drop into water. Now another huge thing about these earbuds is it works with Sony's app. Now this is obvious because this is Sony's flagship earbud, and Sony's app in my opinion is one of the best out there. You just get so many features, you get so much control over your earbuds. With the app you have 360 audio, you have adaptive sound where the sound will just kind of adjust depending on if you're listening to them in public or if you're listening to them while you're sitting at home. It gives you some different EQ options, and a beta feature in these is it has what they kind of consider like a personalized EQ. You go through while you're listening to your music and you pick different settings and different things to kind of hone it in on it picking an EQ setting for you. It also has a speak to chat feature where as soon as it hears you talk, it will switch these over into a transparency mode, which allows you to carry on a conversation. You don't actually have to switch these into any setting. It'll just do it on its own, and it'll do that for I think 15 seconds, and then it'll go back to playing what you're listening to once you stop talking. And again, if you're in an environment where you're listening to these at work, this is a very helpful feature because as soon as somebody comes up, you can just start talking and the earbuds will just do a lot of the things for you. Now it also has another feature where you can have a head gesture control. So if you want to answer phone calls, it'll have it where you can shake or nod your head. You can refuse phone calls. So it is nice that they have this as well. Now moving back over to looking at the case and the earbuds themselves, the case has a very nice matte finish. It is smaller than the XM4s. In the earbuds, it's kind of a mixture between a matte finish and a glossy finish. Now I have the black version here. It's also available in white. And like I said, the earbuds do use a head gesture control, but they also use touch controls, and I am happy to say that you get control over everything. So it's nice that you have this. Again, you can go into the app if you want to switch some of these things around. And then as far as what you get inside the box, now this is another interesting move in my opinion. You do get 4 sets of ear tips, and this one in my opinion is kind of like a foam and a silicone ear tip hybrid. They didn't go with just the straight foam ear tips that they had in the XM4s, but you're not getting the straight silicone ear tips that you got with the XM3s. This is kind of a hybrid ear tip, and in my case with these, I had a hard time finding one that gave me a good solid fit. And this is very important if you're going to use a pair that has active noise canceling. It's also important to make sure that you're getting the most out of the audio quality. So I actually had to switch to using a silicone ear tip off one of the previous Sony earbuds. And a lot of people are not going to have access to those. Obviously, you can go out and buy your own ear tips, but when you're spending $300 on a pair of earbuds, you're not going to want to spend any more on ear tips, or a lot of people aren't going to want to do that. But maybe, you'll have a good fit with these. I just did not have the best experience with these ear tips. Now, as far as the charging cable, it does come with a USB-C cable. You don't have to use this cable to charge these. The case on these is a Qi wireless charging case, which is a huge plus. And speaking of the charging, battery life on these are pretty decent for the most part. On a full charge, you're going to get about 8 hours on the earbuds and about 24 hours using the case. But if you do happen to pick the earbuds up and they are dead, it does have a fast charge feature, which is very interesting. But the fact that it only takes 3 minutes to get 1 hour's of use. So you can charge your earbuds for 3 minutes. It's going to give you an hour. I've always found this to be convenient, having a fast charge feature, because I kind of fall into that category of people that don't always make sure that my earbuds are charged. Now let's go ahead and talk about the noise canceling and the transparency mode. I'm going to start with the transparency mode because on these, the transparency mode is fantastic. It sounds very natural. I would put it very much on par with like the AirPod Pros. You can easily hear your surroundings. You can easily hear the people around you, and it's no issue carrying on a conversation with the earbuds in. But when it comes to the noise canceling, this is where I feel like they are worse than the XM4s, which in my opinion puts them way behind the Bose Quiet Comfort Earbuds 2, which in my video of those, I'm not the biggest fan of the Bose earbuds. I think earbuds are starting to kind of cross over into that, way too expensive for what they are price range. And I kind of put the Sonys in that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to that. But the noise canceling, for the most part, does a pretty decent job of blocking out engine noises and air conditioner units and anything that kind of has like that lower tone. But when it comes to people talking, anything that has like a higher frequency, this is where the earbuds don't do near as good a job blocking out as the Bose Quiet Comfort 2 earbuds do. So from a noise canceling standpoint, I actually think they took a step back. Now, this is something that they can update, hopefully in a firmware update with the app. But as it sits right now, this is definitely not one of the best noise canceling earbuds out there. I would even put the XM4s in front of that and the Bose much further in front of these. So that's not really saying a whole lot for a feature that a lot of people are going to be looking for when they're looking at the XM5s. Now, if you are looking at these for taking phone calls, it is using what they call AI noise reduction algorithms, and it's also using a bone conduction sensor. So when you start talking, it's trying to hone in on you talking and block out a lot of your surroundings. And I think these do a very good job here, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
So here's the mic test using the XM5s, and like I said, I think this is one of the better mics out there. I think it does a really good job of picking up my voice. But this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test with crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound, because again, this is an audio product overall, and I honestly think, I would pay whatever if I'm getting some of the best sound out there. And do these sound great? Actually, yes, these do sound great. Do they sound the best? In my opinion, no. They don't sound the best. I mean, now this is definitely subjective. There are people that have different sound preferences. There's some people that are going to prefer these over some of the other ones that I think sound better. But from a sound standpoint, I feel like these, first off, kind of lack in volume. I at times wish that I could turn them a little bit louder. But I don't think that they have a lot of the characteristics that I like, and I couldn't pull them out of them even with going through and messing around with the EQ settings. Now, it does have that personalized sound feature, and I think that it did a really good job in trying to get something that's very close to what I like, but these weren't able to give me as much bass as I wanted, and it wasn't able to get the treble as bright as I would like either. I felt like from a dynamic standpoint, it couldn't deliver when it came to that. And when it comes to the mids, I felt like the mids are slightly warmer on these than they were the XM4s, which in my opinion does give it a little bit more of a natural tone to it, which I'm definitely a fan of that over the XM4s. But I didn't feel like it always stood out when it came to vocalists. I felt like when I was listening to genres like metal or anything where there's a lot going on, it started to kind of subdue or kind of veil the mids a little bit. I don't know, it just kind of felt like it was holding back, and the earbuds overall weren't very consistent. At times it could sound extremely great, but if I would switch the song, it would then kind of morph into a different sounding earbud. It lacked in one thing where it delivered in the previous track. And again, it just kind of depends on what all is going on. So the earbuds, in my opinion, weren't really consistent enough. But when it comes to the sound stage and the sound imaging, I felt like these were doing a pretty good job here. I felt like I was in a large room, and I never had any issue with being able to tell where different sounds were coming from. So if I'm going to grade these into the different genres that most people are listening to, I feel like if you listen to pop or hip hop, these just don't deliver that subwoofer type bass that a lot of people like in this genre. So I give them a 7 here. When it comes to rock or metal, this is where I would have to give these a 6. This was the most inconsistent genre when it came to using these earbuds. But when it came to easy listening, again, I felt like the mids having that natural tone definitely helped when it came to this genre. So I would give them a 7 here. And when it came to media, again, because the bass doesn't have that subwoofer feel, it didn't deliver when it comes to explosions. The treble was never like bright enough that I felt like details kind of stood out, especially compared to what I'm used to with other earbuds. So I only give them a 7 here. So my overall rating on the XM5s, and this is kind of surprising, it's basically like a 6 to maybe a 7. I wouldn't give them anything higher than this. Ultimately, it comes down to the noise canceling and the sound, and this is where I don't feel like the XM5s deliver from a value standpoint. I think this is not a $300 pair of earbuds when it comes to sound. I don't think this is a $300 pair of earbuds when it comes to noise canceling. So as it sits right now, I can't recommend them at their current price tag. So if you find them on sale, it could be a lot more enticing. The Sony LinkBuds S is a much better buy than the XM5. So even Sony has a better option right now when it comes to earbuds over these. So, I know this is probably going to shock some because the XM4s is one of my favorite earbuds, but at this current time, the XM5s are just not hitting it for me. So, guys, that wraps up my video on the brand new Sony WF-1000XM5s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.